the Human Productivity Lab and publisher of Telepresence Options. Today, we're continuing our survey of telepresence and effective visual collaboration with a roundtable discussion on the future of virtual meetings. In 2 weeks' time, Telepresence Options and the Human Productivity Lab will be sponsoring the Sustainability Summit. The Sustainability Summit is a virtual event on a next-generation platform that provides a deep sense of presence for attendees. The Sustainability Summit will also be the first virtual event to be telepresence-enabled through Cisco Telepresence, where a number of attendees from around the world will come together to address summit participants via Cisco Telepresence, including publicly available Cisco Telepresence meeting rooms. In an age of declining travel budgets, we believe that telepresence-enabled virtual meetings could be a real growth opportunity. So we've gathered some of the leading experts from companies that are revolutionizing the virtual event industry. But before we get started, a couple of words on the semantics of virtual events. We're defining a virtual event as a gathering of a large number of participants in an online environment. A virtual event can be a trade show, a conference, a job fair, or a summit. Whereas a virtual meeting is a smaller gathering of people that come together in a kind of ad hoc manner with very little planning or purposes. To introduce our first guest from Singapore, Chris Steffens is the director of publicly available telepresence at Tata Communications, a global managed service company and networking company. Chris, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Tata Communications and publicly available telepresence?
Yeah, hello. Thanks again, Howard. My name is Chris Steffens. As you mentioned, I run the public room business for Tata Communications. We're part of the $62.5 billion Tata Group. We're the telecommunications arm. We have one of the largest Tier 1 IP networks connecting over 200 countries with 400 points of presence. Really what we feel is our public room offering is unique, and it complements the private managed service offering that we have. It allows individuals to come and rent rooms on an hourly basis and really opens up telepresence to those who want to get in, who might not be familiar at a very reasonable price point.
Chris. Joining us from San Jose is Bruno Castellain, the co-founder of G2 Events, a event planning company that is pioneering telepresence-enabled events. And prior to G2, Bruno was the director of marketing and strategy at Hewlett-Packard. And also in San Jose is Charlie O'Hanlon, who is head of the Cisco's publicly available telepresence event business. Bruno, I thought you might be able to start us off and give us a little bit of a background about G2, and then let Charlie introduce himself and tell us a little bit about publicly available telepresence at Cisco.
So, first of all, thank you for this introduction, Howard. My name is Bruno Castellain. I'm the co-founder of G2 Events. G2 Event is the Darwinian evolution of another company by the name of Hemisphere that has been in the business of physical events for 20 years and has obviously gathered a significant amount of intellectual capital around physical event management. And what we've done recently is we have evolved the business of Hemisphere into the virtual conference and trade show space. What we do more specifically is we are producing our own events. We are also producing events on behalf of companies, private label companies, and we are also in the business of outsourcing event marketing capabilities for corporations. How do we differentiate ourselves? Primarily by adopting and integrating, and think of us not as IP provider or IP designers, but as integrator, system integrator for events. So we are adopting and integrating new technology that allow us to increase the reach, increase the engagement with the audience through virtual technologies, and increase the impact of all the events that we are putting in place. As a way to illustrate how we are integrating technology, as Howard said in his introduction, we are probably the first company to really leverage telepresence into a virtual conference. Most of the time, telepresence is known or has been positioned as a great productivity tool, an extremely efficient collaboration tool, but very few people, and G2 Events has done, the step towards that. The very few people have identified telepresence as a marketing asset, and for those people in the audience who will have the chance to register to the virtual summit, and by the way, it's at www.sustainabilityvirtualsummits.com. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to have a tutorial here. You'll see how we are, in a very clever way, integrating telepresence into the summit. I'll come back to that a little bit later on.